Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Excited to be here.
Today we're checking out a YouTube video by Minnesota Joe.
Oh, yeah, I've seen his channel.
He thinks he may have found a pretty valuable error coin.
Really?
Yeah, a 1971 D Kennedy half dollar. But
Well, it works.
it's thinner and lighter than it should be, so he thinks it could be a rare error.
Interesting. So, like, what kind of error are we talking about here?
Well, let's find out.
Okay.
So Joe's going through a box of half dollars, looking for cool finds.
Right. Coin roll hunting.
Exactly. And he's not having much luck, calls it a skunk box, haha.
I know the feeling. Sometimes you strike out.
But
Yeah.
he gets to the very last roll and finds this weird coin.
Oh, so it was like a hidden treasure.
Totally.
I bet he was excited.
Oh yeah, super stoked. So he's holding this coin, and right away, he notices something's off.
So what tipped him off?
It felt too thin and light for a half dollar.
Yeah, you can really get a feel for that, especially after you've handled a lot of coins. He even said it made a different sound when he dropped it, which I thought was interesting. I never would have thought to listen for that.
Yeah, sound can be a clue, especially when you're thinking about what the coin's made of, the metal and all.
Makes sense. So at first, he thought maybe it was a magic coin.
Oh, like one of those trick coins?
Exactly, yeah. But then he started doing some research and realized it could be something way cooler.
Okay, what do you find?
So apparently sometimes at the mint, they accidentally use the wrong metal blanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they call them planchettes. And so his theory is this half dollar was accidentally struck on a planchette meant for a quarter.
So it was a mix-up at the mint.
That's what it looks like.
That's so cool. So you're saying his half dollar might have been made on a quarter blank?
Yeah. And these wrong stock errors, they're not super common,
Right.
but when they happen, a bunch of error coins can get made before they catch the mistake.
Wow. Think about how many could be out there.
Crazy, right? Okay, so let's look at the evidence Joe's gathered so far and see if his theory holds up.
Let's do it.
Visually, if you compare his coin to a normal 1971D half dollar, it's definitely thinner.
Okay, that's promising.
Plus, the strike quality, especially on the back of the coin, is kind of rough.
Huh. What do you mean by rough?
Like, the details are a little blurry, especially around the edges.
See.
If you think about it, if you used a thinner blank, it wouldn't fill the die completely, right?
Right. So it wouldn't get a good crisp impression.
Exactly. Then there's the weight. His coin weighs about 8.77 grams.
Okay.
And a normal clad half dollar should weigh 11.34 grams.
That's a big difference.
Right, so it really seems like it could be a quarter planchette.
The weight definitely backs up his theory.
But even with all that, he still wanted more evidence to be sure.
Of course. You got to be thorough, right?
Absolutely. So he kept digging and found a 2009 article in Numismatic News, and it actually talked about this exact error.
Wow, he found an article specifically about this error.
Yeah. And it even quotes Mike Diamond, the president of Kanakoa, saying that uncirculated examples of this error could be worth around $150.
Wow, $150. That's pretty good.
Right. But, there's catch.
Ooh, what's the catch?
Joe's coin is definitely not uncirculated. It's been circulating for a while.
I see. Yeah, condition plays a huge role in a coin's value.
So now we got to figure out if his circulated error coin is still worth anything.
This is getting interesting.
So his coin, it's seen better days, right? I mean, it's not in mint condition.
Yeah, unfortunately not. It's what we call circulated. It's been out in the world, passed around, probably spent a good amount of time in pockets and changed jars.
So that probably affects the value, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Condition is super important when it comes to coin collecting. The more wear and tear a coin has, the lower the grade and the less it's worth.
Makes sense. So what did Joe find out about the value of his circulated error coin?
Well, he did a little digging online and found a similar error coin listed on eBay for $150.
Wow, really?
Wow.
$150 even though it's circulated.
But here's the thing. It hadn't actually sold yet. So even though there are people out there who collect these kinds of errors, figuring out what a circulated one is actually worth is kind of tricky.
So what do you do when you're not really sure about a coin's value? I mean, especially when you think it might be rare or have an error.
Well, the best thing to do is to get it professionally graded.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. But like, how does that actually work?
So basically there are these companies like PCGS or NGC that specialize in looking at coins and evaluating their condition. They'll examine it under a microscope, check out every little detail. And then based on their assessment, they'll assign it a grade.
So it's kind of like getting an expert's opinion on how good your coin is, right?
Exactly. It adds like a layer of objectivity and authenticity.
I bet collectors really pay attention to those grades then.
Yeah, a lot of collectors only buy coins that have been graded by these reputable companies, and a good grade can really bump up a coin's value.
Interesting. But I'm guessing getting a coin graded probably costs money, right?
Yeah, there is a fee involved. And that's the decision Joe had to make.
Oh, yeah, I bet that was a tough one.
He had to weigh the cost of grading against the potential increase in value.
It's a gamble, isn't it?
It is kind of like taking a chance. There's no guarantee that the grading will make it worth more than the grading cost itself. Sometimes it's just not worth it if the coin isn't in great shape.
So did Joe end up getting his coin graded?
He did. He decided to take the risk.
I wonder what the grading company will think of his coin. It's like waiting for the results of a contest or something. What happens now during the grading process?
So the grading company, they'll carefully examine his coin. I mean, really look it over under magnification. They'll check out the strike, the luster, how well the surface has been preserved, any scratches or dings, everything. And they'll compare it to standards for that specific coin.
Yeah.
What a typical 1971D half dollar should look like.
And that's how they figure out the grade.
Exactly. It's a really detailed process.
And once they give it a grade, that basically determines what it's worth.
Pretty much, yeah. A good grade is like a seal of approval. It tells potential buyers exactly what they're getting.
So cool. Thinking about this whole mix-up at the mint thing,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder what other kinds of errors could happen. I mean, if they can accidentally use a quarter planchette for a half dollar.
Oh, all sorts of crazy things. You have double strikes where the coin gets struck twice, off-center strikes where the design is like totally off-kilter. You even have overdates where you can see one date struck over another one.
Whoa, I never even knew about those.
And then there are things called brockages, which are super rare. That's when a coin gets stuck in the die and ends up impressing its design on another blank. It's like a mirror image.
Wow, it blows my mind thinking about all the things that can go wrong. I mean, right, depending on how you look at it, they're all unique little pieces of history.
Right. It's kind of amazing how many things have to go perfectly to make a normal coin.
Yeah, it's like a little miracle.
But in a way, these errors are cool because they show us that even in this world of mass production, there's still room for these like random cool little quirks. It makes each coin one of a kind.
I mean, it's really cool to think about how many of these error coins are just out there, right? Like, someone listening to us right now, they could have one.
Totally. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe just hiding in their wallet.
Exactly. Oh, and remember that Blue Ridge Silverhound video?
Yeah.
Where that 1971D error coin sold for $276?
Oh, yeah. The one that had been professionally graded.
What was the grade on that one again?
That one was an MS-60.
MS-60. So that means...
Uncirculated, but with some minor imperfections.
Okay. So even with a few imperfections, it's sold for way more than that $150 estimate from the Numismatic News article.
Yeah, it's a good example of how that professional grading can really make a difference.
Totally. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
if Joe's coin gets a decent grade...
He could be in for a nice little payday.
Right. I mean, even if it doesn't get a super high grade...
Just going through this whole process has been a learning experience for him, right?
Oh, for sure.
He learned about this specific type of error, how to spot it, what to look for, and the whole grading process, too.
He's basically become an error coin expert.
Well, he's on his way.
It makes me think that sometimes it's not just about the end result, it's about what you learn along the way.
Oh, yeah. The journey, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm still super curious to see what grade his coin gets.
Me too. Like, did he make the right call by sending it in?
Yeah. Was it a good gamble? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I feel like we need to get an update from him. Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I think, Joe noticed something was different about that coin. And instead of just tossing it back in the box, he decided to look into it.
He was curious, right?
Yeah. And that curiosity led him to this really cool discovery.
So it pays to be curious.
Exactly. So maybe next time our listeners are looking at their change, they'll think of Joe and take a closer look.
What if they have a hidden treasure right there in their pocket?
You never know, right? That's what's so much fun about coin collecting.
It's a good treasure hunt. Great advice. Well, I think that wraps up our deep dive for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.